So Mark Pope was the guest on John Rothstein's podcast yesterday. It's a really good listen. I listened to the whole thing. Encourage anybody, if you're a Kentucky fan especially, you will love this interview. Shout out to Rothstein. And the most interesting takeaway from this interview for me was when Mark Pope talked about his plans to finalize his roster for next season. In Mark Pope's own words, he said, "We got 12 guys right now." And John Rothstein asked, like, hey, you obviously have 12 very good players. Like, what's your plan? How many are going to be in the rotation? How are you going to do this? And Mark Pope kind of cut him off quickly and was just like, oh, I'm going to play them all. The plan is to play them all. I got 12 guys right now. We feel great about them. They're 12 great players. We're going to play them all. And then he very quickly pivoted from I'm going to play all 12 of my guys to, and by the way, we're not done. In Mark Pope's own words, he said, quote, we are scouring the planet for two more pieces. They want two more guys for next year's roster. And the specifics of which he basically said, we want two non-rotation players. Those weren't his exact words, but hey, I want guys that will, be patient, willing to wait for their final year at Kentucky, just so proud to wear that special jersey, that type of thing from Mark Pope. So basically, to summarize, the roster is essentially set as far as playing rotation goes. He plans to play all 12 guys, but we are still scouring the planet for two more pieces. Let me start with the scouring the planet portion of this, Dion. Should Mark Pope be looking to add more players to next year's roster?
Yeah, I mean, I think you should. I think you should, especially with all the injuries he had this year. I think you utilize every single roster spot you have. Um, just because by the time January came around this year, I felt like they were missing like three or four rotation pieces from every game, and you needed more guys. So I think you use every roster spot you have. The scouring the planet portion of it feels insane to me. You're not going to convince professional European basketball players to come redshirt, I feel like. So you probably can stick around in your backyard and talk to some people that are from Kentucky and want to wear the uniform, and they will redshirt. You know what I mean? Or honestly, like more high school recruits. I just don't see the scouring the planet. I don't know if I see the portal stuff. I do believe the jersey's special. But if you're telling them they're never gonna wear the jersey in game, is it as special to somebody with 1 year left? That's what I don't necessarily buy. So I feel like he should channel his energy to a specific type of prospect, but he should use every single roster spot possible because we saw how it affected him this year when he didn't.
Okay, just a quick question. I think this roster's great as is, but they do have two spots left. Now, if there's 15 scholarships, you can do whatever you want here. The portal's closed, right? You lost Travis Perry kind of because you were bringing in guys at his expense. Portal's closed. You're not going to lose any of the guys that have signed up now. So here's my question. If they are trying to recruit two more players, should they be trying to recruit guys that wouldn't play?
Can Jasper still decommit?
Jasper could still decommit. Malachi Moreno could still decommit.
Then I would be recruiting guys that
And I guess technically guys that are in the portal could re-enter the portal, right?
I think
So,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, I would probably try to get guys that can't play, unless caveat, if RJ Lewis calls Mark Pope and says, "Hey, I would like to come," I think you figure it out.
Well, the thing I was going to say, they were on the short list along with Louisville, who's also loaded, and Illinois, who also feels pretty set in their roster right now for Jameer Watkins.
Hmm.
And Jameer Watkins is going to make a decision, presumably around the NBA draft in June. So, like, if Jameer Watkins wants to come, he would be the second best player on Kentucky. Otega always sensational. Jameer Watkins would be right there, 1A, 1B. I can't imagine Kentucky wouldn't take him, and they were trying to get him 2 weeks ago. So I guess that's just sort of my thing. Like, I think Pope, maybe my biggest takeaway from this, Pope is he's got some salesman to him. And I think it's genuine for the most part. Like, I don't think he's playing a character the way previous Kentucky coaches were, but like he he knows how to pitch. and he knows how to emotionally manage a locker room. And I think that's one of the most important strengths a college basketball coach can have. I think he really likes this group of 12 he has, and he wants to say everything positive publicly that he can to make them all feel prioritized right now. And if something changes, maybe he'll change his tune. But for now, why would you say anything else other than we have our guys? Everyone's going to play. Colin Chandler's a breakout star. Keep an eye on Malachi Moreno. La la la. Like it's all good, but I would bet you even if he's going across the globe, scouring the world for some European big, he's not in their living room saying, "Yeah, you're a 4 year guy. Just you're here to redshirt. You're gonna put that logo on. It's really gonna matter for you." You're telling him like, "No, you're in the rotation too, and you're just as important as all these other guys." You know?
Yeah, I think we've seen him do this before. Heading into the portal, he had the guys he wanted, right? First chance he got, Caden was out of there, Jalon Lowe was in. So I think we've seen him do this before, where he is a salesman. Things salesmen are really good at is pivoting. The
Hmm.
best salesman can sell multiple people until they get exactly what they want. And that's exactly what Mark Pope does. If this is the roster he feels like is complete, then I believe everything he's saying. If he finds something better, though, that's what a salesman does. They go get a bigger sale. So if Jameer Watkins wants to come, RJ Lewis, or if he finds some professional basketball player who like we didn't know was considering coming to college, because I mean, I don't know the kid's name, but yesterday someone from like AS Monaco that averaged 13 points in a very high European league committed to a school. Um, like that's crazy to me. If you told me I could have him, or honestly, I love AJ DeBanza or AJ DeBanza, I'm getting a kid that averaged 13 points professionally last year.
You just lost your AJ DeBanza card right
I
there.
know, I
Yeah,
know.
that's tough. Look, I
It's
didn't expect that in the first video of the day. Right now, 9 a.m. Crazy.
it is kind of crazy. AJ, if you can forgive me, it's six on my side.
Still a lot of time. No, yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a requirement, it's a necessity of this position that is unique to being the Kentucky head coach. Because as Mark Pope alludes to, is something very special about that logo, this brand, this place, this university, this program. And at all times, players from all levels, from all countries, everywhere on the globe, they're going to be interested in suiting up in some way. And because of that, you're going to be provided with opportunities you think could make your basketball team better than whatever the previous plan was. I think Pope's already navigated that pretty nicely. He's clearly been really aggressive in the portal this year. I think he loves all of his pieces right now. I think he genuinely means that he wants to play all 12 guys and that he thinks that's what's best for this team. And yeah, barring a player like Jameer Watkins late, I think being like, I really want to come here. I think this roster's pretty much set. My last question for you is this, because I have my own individual philosophy on how a good championship basketball team's rotation should look in college basketball. I've always felt this way going back 15 years. Um, I think there's a correct number of guys that should be in a rotation, and it's not 12. Now, there have been championship teams that have played more guys than the number I would say. I think more often than not, you go through teams that have won national championships in the last 10 years. They all have about 8 guys that play, 7, 8, or 9. Very rare to see a team keep everyone happy. Maybe more importantly, keep their best players on the floor. Because even if you have a great 12, this was Michigan State's issue. They wanted to go 12 deep last year. Jace Richardson played 28 minutes a game. We interrupt this sleepers video to tell you about an offer from Underdog Fantasy. Cart, you love Underdog Fantasy, correct?
Of course I do. Can I have a moment real quick?
Please. Thank you for that. In fact, I'm going to cut you off because our listeners like when we keep these short and sweet. Underdog Fantasy. Sign up as a new user. Use promo code SLEEPERS. Get bonus funds up to $1,000, 50% of your deposit match. The NBA playoffs are rocking right now. I played Underdog last week with a Cade Cunningham line. I'm looking forward to doing it throughout the entire first round of the NBA playoffs, but there's more. You can place picks on golf. You can place picks on baseball. You can place picks on the NHL playoffs that are rocking right now. Join Underdog Fantasy, promo code SLEEPERS. Support this show so that we can keep bringing videos to you. Back to the video. You would have been better off playing your best 5 and Jace Richardson playing 40 minutes a game. So I think you look at this Kentucky roster for next year. Otega Owe is a star. Pope says he's going to be the preseason SEC Player of the Year. He probably will be. Jalan Lowe, I think, could be a star. Jaden Quaintance could be a star. Everybody else on this roster to me is a role player and a very good one, but a role player. So I can see why on paper it would make sense in your mind to play all 12 guys. But I just inherently think playing 12 guys is a dicey proposition for a college basketball program. And if I'm Kentucky, I think as a fan, I'd be looking at this like, man, can we get to a point where we've got 5 guys that are worthy of 35 minutes a game instead of 12 guys that all need 24 minutes a game? So I don't know. It can work. I'm not a skeptic of it potentially working, but do you think this is the right path forward for Kentucky basketball to be? Because they tried to do this last year. They wanted to be this deep last year too, and I would argue that wasn't necessarily the best move.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I think, in my opinion, I love when teams play, and this is at any level. If you play 10, you go 10 or 11 deep in what you refer to as your regular season, and then in SEC tournament play into March Madness, you cut it to like 8 or 9. And when I look at this Kentucky roster, I see a group of people that can be cut. Like I think you can, in theory, I mean not in theory, you can cut Trent Noah and Colin Chandler out the rotation. Um, in the beginning of the year, Jaden Quaintance is obviously not going to be in the rotation. And honestly, I think the more I look at Malachi Moreno, the more I look at Jasper Johnson. I think you're looking at 2 and 3 year guys. Potentially, I don't think those are one and done. So I think those are guys you can remove from the rotation within March Madness. So I think you can cut it down to 8 or 9 and play your best 8 or 9 players and potentially have that opportunity to get down to the rotation you and I are looking for. But I will say this, when you take away the Kentucky logo, when you take away the fancy edits that are on Twitter and you just read the names off this roster, this is a top 5 to 10 team in the country, but it feels a lot more underwhelming than when you like put the pictures up of them all in the Kentucky uniform and you see some of the edits. If you just read the roster names, it's Jalan Lowe, it's Otega Owe, and like you said, it's a group of role players.
But and that can work. And I know
Yeah.
we're already catching flack from Kentucky fans for saying this. Otega proved us wrong last year. Jalan Lowe could be a first team All SEC player. Jaden Quaintance could be a first team All SEC center. There are guys that have big time upside on this team. I'm not taking that away from them. But I do think like you go through Kentucky basketball teams. Obviously, this isn't Calipari's roster building approach, but Cal went 12 deep one year. He did the platoon system, but the ninth and 10th guys were lottery picks. There's a difference in why would you go 12 deep when your ninth guy is Devin Booker versus why would you go 12 deep when your ninth guy is I'm just trying to quick name who the ninth guy would be. Trent Noah?
Honestly, I think the ninth guy is Jasper.
Could be Jasper, could be Diabate, could be like, and again, if we made a list of the 10 deepest teams in college basketball for next season, Kentucky would be number 1. Depth is a strength. That's something every program wants. Pope's done a phenomenal job of building that. It's just one of those things. To hear him say it out loud in the summer is interesting because I don't think you have many coaches on earth that would say, hey, we want to play 12 guys next year. And to me, if you are at a point coming into a year where you're like, we're going to play all 12, that kind of inherently means to me you don't feel like your 5 is better than your 11 and 12. And if Pope feels that way, to me, it would mean more about what it says about your 5 than it does about our 12th guy's awesome. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. But we'll see. And one more thing for me. So he's looking for 2 more guys that are just happy to wear the Kentucky logo, great culture guys. Don't come in with any expectations and just they're great program guys. Is that not Travis Perry?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're looking for a Travis Perry?
Isn't that Brandon Garrison too? I thought that was the guys from last year.
Well, I just look at 2 of the guys they lost that could have played 1 extra year. Kerr Kriisa was one. And we heard periodically throughout the second half of the season that, oh, we want Kerr back. We want Kerr back. He's a leader. He's just happy to wear the logo. And then Travis Perry literally was born into this, grew up a Kentucky fan. This is everything to him. Like to me, you want two guys that just care about the logo. I couldn't that have been Kerr and Travis, and we're done, and we don't need to be hunting, scouring the globe for more. But again, maybe those guys were just like, I do want to play. I guess my point would be, it's harder than you think to find guys that truly don't want to play. Because Perry would have fallen in this category a year ago, and now we're like, well, I need my minutes. You can't, if you're really going to play 12 guys, good luck keeping the 13th guy happy for 4 years.
Yeah, I think so that's the issue when you're a salesman, right? Your sales pitches overlap sometimes, and then that's how you wind up losing guys. I do love Mark Pope though. I think I said this on a video with you. In my opinion, like if you're talking about the future of coaches in the sport, it starts with Mark Pope and Nate Oates to me. Obviously, Todd Golden has a lot to say about that now. He can enter the discussion as well. If you take what Mark Pope does phenomenal and you take what Cal does phenomenal, I think you create the greatest coach in the history of college basketball. And I know Kentucky fans aren't going to like that, but they have very differing strengths and weaknesses. And I love that because now Kentucky fans are getting the opposite. And I think as Mark Pope continues to grow, that's why I think for the future, like he's going to grow into being one of the best coaches in the sport, if not the best. I also think there's a world Mark Pope is using this to get free travel into Europe, which I love that. Like, oh, I need to go recruit somebody. He plays in Italy. I would love to stay in Rome for 2 weeks. And I love that from Mark. He was at like a Minnesota Timberwolves Lakers playoff game with Jelon Lowe as if he was still selling Jelon on coming to Kentucky. He's having a special run on Instagram right now and a
Yeah.
special run on Twitter of just like touring places. So if I'm him, I'm keeping these roster spots open till August. Until we have to report to camp, like I'm traveling the globe. We're scouring everywhere. Like, oh, I haven't been to Toronto. I hear there's a kid out there. I got to go recruit.
It was a special pod appearance from him too. He is on. It's like the summer of Pope, and he earned that from a great first year at Kentucky too. Like we're basically just we have to fall in line and be like we trust him because of how good the first year went. They made a Sweet 16 right away. Um, Also, now this is just dawning on me. Mark Pope would be a top three person on the planet that I would like to like attend a country concert with. Like I'd love to be at like a Morgan Wallen concert with Mark Pope, you know?
I was gonna say I would love to go to like a Meg Thee Stallion concert with Mark Pope. I feel like he'd be special.
I think we need a segment on top 10 things we want to do with Mark Pope. And just come up with a great list. Good luck, Mark, on scouring the globe for your final two guys that don't want to play on the court but would kill to wear that uniform.